Mike Dewine, Ohio representative. Well, he stopped the mutilation his people started 6 years ago, and I'm gonna assume that he is working on the other child mutilation his people have been doing for the last 12 years, and then we're going to move on to the other child mutilation they've been doing for the last 18 years, and we're going to go on to the child mutilation they started 19 years ago, and they're going to move on to getting rid of the child drugging they started 32 years ago, and then there's that other child mutilation stuff they started about 32 years and 2 months ago. And so we're working on that. And then the other child mutilation they started probably 32 years and 7 months and 5 days ago. We're going to work on that. And then we're going to work on the times they started telling the children this one lie and stop manipulating the children. They started that probably about 5 seconds ago. And then we're going to move on to the next one that they started probably about 8 seconds ago. And then there was that one, you guys remember that? They started that, it was manipulating the children. It was about a quarter of a second before that. So it was like 8 seconds and a quarter of a second ago, which is now, that would be about 12.4 seconds ago. And they probably introduced 3 or 4 new ones since then. But we're going to work on that stuff. Okay, so we're going to get that bill pushed through. The bill was pushed through. They started that, 20 years ago, or no, that was about 12 years ago. And they pushed the bill through about 2 days ago, I think. Or was it just a day ago? And so good job, Mike Dewine. You got something done now. You're doing a lot, but you reversed one thing you were doing. And then we can move on to the other time. We got rid of the time where they use electroshock therapy on the kids, right? So we don't have to worry about that anymore. So they say. I'm not, we're not working on the times we're making up bullshit. And lying to people. We're definitely never going to do that. Maybe we should, before we work on any of this, we should work on just the outright lying, where we just make up a whole bunch of nonsense about we fixed the child mutilation thing, and then we should work on repealing the Pro-Child Mutilation Act. Oh, wait a minute. They didn't pass an act. That was already legal, wasn't it? To drug the children and chop off their genitals. And it was already legal for parents to do that. And teachers and, well, I don't know if there's any teachers at the hospital, but doctors and nurses and surgeons and police and vending machine workers worked at that place too. They might not have been too involved with it, but they knew what was going on. Did the people provide the knives to mutilate children? No, they don't know anything. What about the people who provide the beds for the children to lay on while they do that? Yeah. They didn't do nothing. Mike Dewine could just fix everything if he killed George Soros or re-educated him, right? Because school works. You go there and Soros and Huckleberry Hound and all the rest of the New World Order, they go there to learn what they taught everyone to say so they can go there and be re-educated by themselves, I guess. Sounds like a good idea. Education works. Gotta pass that law. That law is important, I think. Mike Dewine passed a law saying that the New World Order, the three invisible people in wheelchairs who control the world and make all the humans dance like puppets and mutilate their children and talk about mentally ill things like space and Santa and child mutilation, other child mutilation related things. I think that's probably important, right? Put George Soros back in kindergarten. That way he can learn what George Soros used to say before George Soros turned into the New World Order wizard. Spinning his magic wheelchair wheels, the wheel of magic. Get that done, and then, and instead of spending so much time in his pal Jeffrey Epstein's mansion up there in New Albany, he could, or his own mansion out there, way outside of town there. Takes him about 4 hours to get to and from, if he ever would come to the city. He does sometimes. He's got like when a soldier dies, like when a special soldier dies. One time they had a funeral or something like that. They had a little ceremony. It wasn't a funeral. It was a once in a lifetime thing. I don't know who it was. It must have been like a general or something. And so he came into town to say thank you for fighting the brown people, and we'll hope the rest of you guys will join in the battle, because as you can see, we're going to come out here and say thank you every 10 years. And so, that's probably how often he comes here, but because he's so busy signing all them laws into place, sometimes they're bad laws, like when they sign the law saying you can turn males into females with a knife, or the time he signed the law saying my cult needs your children to be sacrificed and mutilated, because that's what our people do. And if you don't have that gang sign marked on you, also that's illegal not to be branded as our servants. So, he's always working hard on laws like that. And so, hopefully supposedly he had some law about outlawing vapor. Like outlaw smoking, you outlaw vaping, you outlaw rich people who aren't his family bloodline selling drugs and controlling the drug trade. You outlaw people who aren't authorized by him from mutilating children. He passed that bill a long time ago. People who aren't authorized by him aren't allowed to touch children's wee-wees. That's an old bill on the book too. And then one time he authorized a law to have rainbow-colored lights all through the short north of the city. So they installed a whole bunch of flashing rainbow lights down that road and stuff to let those people know that they're accepted. Because they had to kick the black people out first. And so he signed that law that they kick all the black people out of the city so the rainbow people can move in there. And so that's one law. And then the other law, he signed this other law that when cops are guarding his building because it had broken windows the day before, that they're not allowed to protect people they hate. So, when I was down there in the middle of riots and they were watching people kidnap and assault me, they couldn't do anything because he passed that law to protect them from the rioters and the assaulters, apparently, or protect them from doing any actual work, protect them from getting harmed by the children and the old people. And so he passed those laws. And then he passed the law that there should be a church on every corner to help promote the mutilation of children and make it a respectable thing. Only if it's in the name of the cult, for the cult, to brand the cult. And obviously, those people aren't always too fond of the doing it for a different reason. They don't like sex. Those people don't like sex very much. So when you're trying to, get your sacrificial mutilation on in the name of good times and fun, that's illegal. Because when you're having sex, you can't be working. And what happens when you're not working? Well, they already passed that law. You're not being a good, productive person. No slavery. There's just work. And laws to make sure you can only work and do nothing else, as is called promotes and prescribes and beats into the children. And I remember that time they passed a law. Did they pass a law you can't beat your children yet? Was that the law he passed? No. I know he passed a law saying that the schools should take donations to go kill the brown people. They passed that law apparently because that was going on. And that was back in the 80s. Nowadays it's donations to kill European people so they can take it over. You gotta get rid of the Ukrainians to replace them with Israelis because they needed a place to go because they knew they were about to get bombed by themselves to set up some staged fake war. So they could have all these reasons to go and take over other nations like they claim they did when they took over USA in the 1940s and 50s, even though the repeated patterns of his people genociding and taking over people are exactly how the nation was created, and lying is also a pattern of their people. So if he says he didn't do it, if they say they didn't do it, then that means they did. And so, yeah. That little story there, I don't mean to get sidetracked from the political discussion, but that little story there, I think I just figured out the Epstein thing. If they say they didn't do it, they did it. If they say anything, they're lying. So if they say they were mutilating, they were selling little girls, if Mike Dewine and his pals in Columbus were selling little girls, I already knew that was a lie, and you've heard me say this in my videos, that there's something wrong with this story. Those people have sex with little boys. They're not interested in no females. They didn't build no side of town with flashy lights for men who like females. They built the flashy lights for men who like men. They didn't go improve any other side of town like that. My friend, wow, I can't believe it took me that long to figure that out. Sorry to get sidetracked, but it's like, wow, like I've been saying that in my videos, you heard me, like there's something real fishy. I mean, obviously he didn't die, he's special, his people are gods. Gods never die, gods are always there, aliens are always there. I don't think they're really aliens, I think they're puppets being set up by the game. Little too backwards to be some official space race people who aren't erasing their minds But yeah, okay. So anyway, sorry, but if you had got that far before, like trying to figure out, like, all they do is lie, and then they said they were using little girls to manipulate world leaders through sex, and we already know everything they say is a lie, and we already know that they don't like girls, and we already knew that that's not the best method to blackmail world leaders. We already knew his preferences and who he likes to give money to the most. Man, that makes you wonder if they made up the whole thing just to cover up that other thing, because who's even interested in females if you're a male? I There's tons of men out there with wives and stuff and children, and all they're interested in is getting beat and pushed around and told what to do. Like, I don't think they're interested in anything else, because they're not doing anything else unless it's just to make more of themselves and stuff. Damn, that's a revelation there. But, I think I was already on to that before, but I just didn't quite put it all together like that. Okay, so some more great laws he passed. If you're not special like him, you probably can't own a gun in this city. That's good, right? If you're not guarding his broken windows, or if you're not assaulting people for his people, you're not allowed to own a gun, probably. That was a good law they passed. And then the laws about cops should be shooting people they don't like. They passed that law, obviously, because when they were shooting at me during the protest there, I didn't feel good. And then, anyways, well, hopefully he's hard at work, getting rid of all those rituals his people do, and he's changing it up. He's changing his attitude, like me. Like, I'm just gonna be, carefree and forgiving from now on. I'm trying to be more like the humans. I'm trying to, I smoked crack a couple years ago. Didn't fry my brain enough. Imagine that. And, I sniffed some glue. No, I didn't really. I should get some glue. I got some glue. What type of glue should I use, you guys? I'm trying to fit in here. I see everyone else out there acting like they're sniffing glue. I want some too. Trying to figure out how this works, man. I need some Santa positivity only in my life too. Is that what it takes, is super glue? That does smell kind of cool and cute. My lungs get all irritated by it. They're used to. I think I'm a little bit healed now. I asked our Lord, the Jew, to heal me, and I could magically do that. Or I just left this dirty city, and I was smoking before I left. People were asking me how the hell I was doing that. I just said it. I'm healed. Yeah, right. Anyways, so that's great. No more mutilating children on Wednesdays during the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 a.m. and 12 seconds. So we're headed in the right direction, apparently. We only got to go back a few thousand years to, and then once we work our way back there, we'll be done with all this stuff. Just a few thousand years back, that's all we're going to have to go. And we we can't just jump back that fast because there's got a lot of other stuff that's happened since then. But we're gonna, you know, over the next few thousand years, we're gonna work our way back there to changing what they started thousands of years ago.